In our headlines on this Friday, August 21st, here in South Korea. South Korea's exports hit a new high during the first 20 days of August, with semiconductors alone accounting for almost half of all shipments as AI demand continues to fuel an intense chip boom. Elsewhere, the Trump administration asserts U.S. allies are either, quote, with us or against us with regard to its economic isolation war against Iran, details of which are to be disclosed next Monday, according to U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Meanwhile, South Korea's heritage comes alive after dark as the National Heritage Night Festival turns historic sites into vibrant stages of light, culture, and history. Exports logged a new high during the first 20 days of August, powered by semiconductor sales, of course, while containers to China, Vietnam, and the U.S. accounted for over half of the total shipments. Our business correspondent Park Jun-han reports.
Korea's August outbound shipments have reached a record high for the period in the first 20 days of August. According to preliminary data released by the Korea Customs Service on Friday, exports from August 1st to the 20th stood at $55.2 billion. That is a massive 56% jump compared to last year. Semiconductors drove the rally with chip exports skyrocketing 198.8% year-on-year to a record $26 billion. The chip boom is so strong that semiconductors now make up nearly half of Korea's total exports, accounting for 47.2%. Other tech products also saw massive gains, with computer peripherals jumping over 240%. However, not all sectors saw an upward trend, as passenger car exports dropped by 45.1% during the same period. Looking at major trade partners, exports to China more than doubled, surging by 118.6%. Shipments to Vietnam and the U.S. also saw significant jumps of 67.4% and 59.4% respectively. Together, these three nations account for 52.6% of Korea's total exports. During the same period, the country's imports increased by 19% to $41.2 billion, fueled in large part by stronger demand for foreign semiconductors, chip manufacturing equipment, and crude oil. Because record-breaking exports vastly outpaced imports, Korea posted a solid trade surplus of $13.97 billion, signaling that strong economic momentum driven by the semiconductor supercycle remains intact. Park Jun-han, Arirang News.
And producer prices fell for the first time in 11 months in July as a retreat in oil prices prevailed over a rise in food prices. Our Baek Joo-hee reports.
Korea's producer prices fell in July for the first time in 11 months as a drop in global oil prices outweighed the impact of a summer heat wave on farm produce. According to the Bank of Korea on Friday, the producer price index fell month-on-month for the first time since August 2025. The index had risen for 9 straight months from September through May, held flat in June, then turned lower again in July, coming in at 129.39, down 0.4% from June. Year-on-year, the index rose 7.7%, easing from an 8.6% rise in May, the fastest pace since July 2022. Looking into specific categories, industrial goods led the decline, falling 0.5%, as coal and petroleum products dropped 5.1% and chemical products fell 1.3% on lower global oil prices. Electricity, gas, water, and waste fell 0.6%, with residential electricity rates down 11.8% as Korea eased its summer peak usage pricing tiers. Services slipped 0.4%, dragged by a fall in financial and insurance services as brokerage commissions plunged 16.8% amid a stock market pullback. Agricultural, forestry, and marine products, however, rose 1.5%, with farm produce up 2.4%. Lee Hyung-ho, head of the Bank of Korea's price statistics team, said that prices of agricultural, forestry, and marine products were driven up in July due to the heat wave, poor harvests for some vegetables, along with mass die-offs at fish farms from high water temperatures. But he also said that the rise is still more modest than a year before, when heavy rain and heat pushed the same category up 5.6% in July 2025. The central bank says the heat wave's effect has been limited so far in early August, but will depend on how it is for the rest of the month. He noted that a temporary cut in telecom charges last August created a low base effect, making this year's year-on-year figures look steeper. 백주희, 아리랑 뉴스.
Over in the U.S., the government's intervention in the Treasury market is rippling through stocks, bonds, and the broader financial markets. Our Cha Yoon-kyung explains.
Global financial markets are facing renewed turbulence as U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's aggressive market intervention is coming up against stubborn economic realities. Following the Treasury's announcement to double long-term bond buybacks to $4 billion per operation, yields that had been soaring as well as the dollar have temporarily cooled. However, long-term yields quickly resumed their upward trajectory. Experts point out that a $4 billion cap is not an ultimate solution, as national debt has surpassed $40 trillion for the first time. Secretary Bessent stated that the figure holds no special magic and that the U.S. can grow its way out of the debt mountain. Despite such optimism, structural pressures continue to push borrowing costs higher. Analysts note that corporate bond issuance by big tech giants fueling the AI boom is driving up real interest rates. This strategy has also sparked fears of fiscal dominance, raising concerns that political pressure to lower interest rates could undermine the Federal Reserve's independence. On Thursday, St. Louis Fed President Alberto Musalem firmly distanced the central bank from the Treasury's actions, emphasizing that monetary policy is set independently, entirely focused on inflation and the labor market. Meanwhile, ripple effects quickly hit Asian markets. On Friday morning, South Korea's benchmark KOSPI opened sharply lower, dragged down by overnight losses on Wall Street. U.S. stocks tumbled on Thursday due to a combination of climbing Treasury yields and weak retail earnings from Walmart. Looking ahead, Secretary Bessent hinted that Treasury buybacks could exceed $4 billion and unveil further fiscal consolidation measures early next week, arguing that current yields fail to reflect true economic fundamentals. Cha Yoon-kyung, 아리랑 뉴스.
Also in the U.S., the Trump administration is pressing American allies to join an unprecedented campaign of economic isolation against Iran. Our Kim Yo-jong has the latest.
The U.S. is preparing to impose what it calls the toughest sanctions in history on Iran. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told a broadcaster on Thursday that the measures are aimed at collapsing the regime while urging U.S. allies to decide whether to join Washington's pressure campaign. Bessent said the sanctions could also reduce the need for major U.S. military operations against the Islamic Republic. His remarks came after President Donald Trump pledged tougher economic measures against Iran.
Well, we have things that we could sanction. We have very draconian sanctions, and we'll see what happens. The blockade has been 100% successful. No boats have gotten into Iran, but they are getting in for other places. But we'll see.
Trump announced plans on Wednesday to further squeeze Iran's economy, declaring an economic D-Day in a Truth Social post. He also threatened major penalties against any country that continues doing business with Iran. The move comes as the war approaches the 6-month mark, with little sign of a diplomatic or military victory for Washington. Iran's foreign ministry condemned the U.S. sanctions as economic terrorism, saying they would hurt ordinary Iranians and amount to crimes against humanity. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, meanwhile, dismissed Trump's latest post as a diversion from America's own economic problems. Separately, the U.S. military said it remains committed to defending the U.S. homeland and its allies following North Korea's latest missile launches. U.S. Pacific Command said Thursday it saw no immediate threat from the launches. The statement came after North Korea fired around 10 short-range ballistic missiles from Pyongyang toward the East Sea at around 5 p.m. Thursday. Kim Yo-jong, 아리랑 뉴스.
And in light of Thursday's missile launch by Pyongyang, diplomats from Seoul, Washington and Tokyo held talks over the phone on this Friday. According to Seoul's Foreign Ministry, Director General for Korean Peninsula Policy, Baek Yong-jin, spoke with his U.S. and Japanese counterparts David Wylsall and Takashi Ariyoshi. The three officials reportedly assessed the regional security status while addressing future response options. Also, according to the ministry here, North Korea's missile test launches activate an immediate and separate consultation channel amongst South Korea, the U.S. and Japan. Also, North Korea's Kim Yo-jong appears to be launching a smear campaign against South Korea, calling it pitiful and accusing President Lee Jae-myung of double-dealing. Our Song Yoo-jin reports.
Kim Yo-jong, sister of leader Kim Jong-un, released a statement late Thursday night through the Korean Central News Agency with sneering remarks against Seoul. In response to the scaling down of the Ulji Freedom Shield joint military exercises, she mocked that a single order from U.S. President Trump left South Korea in a pitiful plight of no longer being able to play war games. Calling the alliance a master-servant relationship, Kim accused South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung of duplicitous words and deeds, referring to Lee's expression of respect and gratitude for Trump's decision to scale back the drills on social media, while discussing self-reliant national defense and securing independent military capabilities domestically. While North Korea maintains its hostile posture towards South Korea, analysts have commented that Kim Yo-jong's latest statement can be read to reaffirm North Korea's stance of leaving room for its relationship with the United States. The routine South Korea-U.S. joint exercise Ulji Freedom Shield ended on Friday after only 5 days, scaled back from its originally scheduled 11-day run. The August exercises are usually split into two parts, defense and counterattack. But this time, the exercise will conclude after carrying out only the first part. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News.
And the Unification Ministry here believes the Trump administration has initiated a potential shift in the state of affairs on the Korean Peninsula by calling for fresh dialogue. Our correspondent Kim Do-yeon reports.
South Korea is expressing optimism regarding recent diplomatic developments between the U.S. and North Korea. On Friday, Unification Minister Chung Dong-young at a meeting with religious leaders called this a tectonic shift.
Broadly speaking, a tectonic shift initiated by U.S. President Donald Trump has begun on the Korean Peninsula. While it is too early for either optimism or pessimism, a summit between the U.S. and North Korea can be anticipated. I believe this could serve as an opportunity to realign the geopolitical situation on the peninsula and, by extension, Northeast Asia.
Chung also said earlier in the day that the past year was a time of frustration. This comes as he has repeatedly emphasized that a summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will be constructive, and this will be able to change the current status of deadlock. President Lee Jae-myung as well, since his time as a lawmaker, has continuously supported resuming Washington-Pyongyang negotiations. He previously directly offered to act as a diplomatic pacemaker to Trump's peacemaker and hasn't let go of the term to facilitate a resumption of talks between the two.
적대와 대결의 에너지를 평화 공존과 공동 번영의 동력으로 바꿔내겠습니다. 페이스메이커이자 한반도 평화의 당사자로서 그 역할과 책임을 다할 것입니다.
Meanwhile, the government says acting as a pacemaker does not mean South Korea is being bypassed. A high-ranking Unification Ministry official stated the core priority is setting the table for dialogue to break the status quo. This suggests Seoul prioritizes the revival of diplomatic momentum over immediate direct participation. The official added Washington will not recognize the regime as a nuclear state, maintaining complete denuclearization as the ultimate objective. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
South Korea's heritage comes alive after dark as the National Heritage Night Festival turns historic sites into vibrant stages of light, culture and history. Our culture correspondent Cho Young-eun was out and about.
As the sun sets, historical sites across Korea take on a new life, transforming into vibrant cultural spaces. This week, we head to Suwon, Gyeonggi-do Province to experience its National Heritage Night and see how the event brings Korea's heritage to life after dark.
I'm from Suji, Yongin. It's my wife's birthday, so we came here after work. It's our first time here. I'd only heard about it, but they've really done a great job. It's beautiful, and it's a great place to take a walk.
I heard they had done a great job showcasing the national heritage here, so we came for a walk. The night view is also beautiful, so we're really enjoying our time here.
Now in its 10th year, Suwon's National Heritage Night features media art performances at Hwahongmun Gate and light illuminations around the Yongyeon Pond. Suwon Hwasong Fortress, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, provides a unique setting. Originally built in the late 18th century by King Jeongjo, the fortress preserves a centuries-old history while standing alongside the city's modern life.
I heard the National Heritage event had already ended, but then I found out it had been extended, so I came by chance. We also visited Hwaseonghaegung Palace during its nighttime opening, explored some of Suwon's beautiful spots, and came to enjoy some good food.
With interactive programs taking place throughout the weekends, visitors can explore the heritage sites while enjoying live performances and hands-on experiences. Running through August 30th in Suwon, the National Heritage Night can be experienced in other cities across the country, each event offering programs inspired by the local heritage. This event offers a new way to connect Korea's heritage with contemporary culture while preserving its historical value. Jo Young-eun, Arirang News.
And in other news now, Samsung Electronics and LG Electronics swept an annual design awards with 62 wins between them, cementing their status as global design powerhouses. Our Hong So-jung has more.
Samsung Electronics and LG Electronics said Friday that they have each won 45 and 17 awards at the International Design Excellence Awards 2026. Known as IDEA, the awards are organized by the Industrial Designers Society of America and are considered one of the world's 3 most prestigious awards for design. The awards recognize designs based on innovation, commercial viability, and improvements in user experience across 20 categories. Samsung won the newly introduced Impact Award with its home appliance accessibility design, which is recognized for its sustainability. The design improves accessibility for users by accommodating users' individual physical needs, including differences in mobility, vision, and hearing. A bronze award went to the Infinite AI air purifier featuring a pop-up cleaner booster that automatically falls away when not in use. Samsung was recognized with bronze awards, bringing the company's total up to 9 for the portable memory, which is a premium portable storage device with the outer case made solely from recycled aluminum, and the mobile origami package, which uses a single sheet of paper using an origami method. Continuing its strong momentum, Samsung also won 12 prizes in the brand and communication category at the Red Dot Awards. The company's privacy display, first adopted by the Galaxy S26 Ultra, won the main Best of the Best award for its standout feature that restricts visibility of its screen from an angle to protect user privacy. Additionally, the Moving Style and Vision AI Companion visual branding took home top prizes. LG Electronics also made its mark at the IDEA Awards, winning 17 awards this year. The home robot Cloyd, LG PuriCare System Air Purifier, and 10 other products were named finalists. LG also earned 5 bronze awards for products including its LG Signature OLED W, LG Therma V heat pump, and LG Purifier Air Mini. It is worth noting that Cloyd Signature OLED W, the LG PuriCare System Air Purifier, and the LG Gram Pro achieved a triple crown by winning all 3 major international design awards, which include the IF Design Award, Red Dot Design Award, and IDEA. LG also received awards in the packaging design category for its lifestyle audio brand, including the X-Boom audio series and LG Sound Suite. As Korean tech giants continue to gain recognition at prestigious international design awards, their competitiveness is extending beyond functionality to encompass design and user experience. Hong So-jung, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, amid rising foreign competition in the domestic car market, Hyundai and Kia are turning to virtual roads and 3D printed parts to reinvent how they design and build their future cars. Our Kim So-young explains.
Behind the wheel of this simulator, a massive curved screen recreates a real highway in front of the driver. This is the driving simulator studio at Hyundai and Kia's R&D center in Namyang. The simulation is so precise it captures every bump and deep of the actual road, down to the smallest detail.
This lets us accurately test the car's performance before we even build a physical prototype.
That same approach runs through every stage of development. To fine-tune noise reduction and prevent leaks, engineers are now 3D printing custom parts and components.
Our classic cars often don't have original blueprints. That's exactly where 3D printing makes the biggest difference.
This push comes at a critical point. In May 2026, Tesla's Model Y topped passenger car sales in Korea. It is a signal that's pushing Korean automakers to double down on digital innovation to stay competitive in the race to build the car of tomorrow. Kim So-young, Arirang News.
This is the world now. The United States Navy has sent a fresh aircraft carrier to the Middle East to relieve a ship whose crew has been at sea for months supporting the Iran war. U.S. Central Command said on Thursday that the USS George Washington arrived in the region on Wednesday. It takes over from the USS Abraham Lincoln, which had gone more than 250 days at sea without a break. Reports of life on the USS Abraham Lincoln described crew stress, poor mental health, and shortages of food and hygiene products. The USS George Washington came from Asia, leaving that region without an American carrier strike group. In Nigeria, an overloaded boat has capsized, killing at least 50 people. Most of the dead are children. The boat went down on Thursday in Nigeria's northwest Sokoto state. An official with the National Waterways Authority said about 40 children were among the dead. A state lawmaker said most of those on board were between 10 and 15 years old. He said 16 people were rescued. Residents said the boat was carrying farm owners and laborers hired to harvest rice. In Peru, a magnitude 6.7 earthquake struck the central Andes on Thursday. The United States Geological Authority said there were no initial reports of casualties or damage. The quake was deep at 99 kilometers below the surface. The head of Peru's Geophysical Institute said on Thursday that the depth prevented major damage, so the earthquake caused no impact. Peru sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, where 85% of the world's quakes happen. Prince Harry and his wife Meghan are moving back to the UK this month, 6 years after they gave up royal duties and left for the United States. A person close to the couple said they will move from California to somewhere outside London. Their children, 7-year-old Archie and 5-year-old Lilibet, will go to school in Britain. They will not live in a royal residence and will remain non-working royals. King Charles only learned of the move on Sunday. Ju Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
Light rain is coming and going at the moment here in Seoul, but there are downpours in parts of Gyeongsang-Bukdo province with rainfall rates of around 30 millimeters per hour, prompting heavy rain alerts. Most of the rain in Chungcheongdo and Gyeongsang-Bukdo province will taper off by tonight, but Seoul and the surrounding capital area, along with inland areas of Gangwon-do province, will stay wet through tomorrow morning. After a brief break, scattered showers will move across inland areas nationwide tomorrow afternoon, bringing another round of 5 to 40 millimeters of rain. Meanwhile, the heat is still going strong across the southern parts of the country. With hot and humid air moving in, many places could see tropical night or tropical night-like heat with lows of 24 degrees in Seoul and 25 degrees in Busan. And tomorrow afternoon, the heat will stay hot and humid, with Seoul reaching 30 degrees and Gwangju 33 degrees. Looking ahead, late summer heat will continue with temperatures hovering around 33 degrees Celsius. Now here's a look at the weather around the world.
Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Coming up next is our daily panel session. Do stay with us.